Welcome to this BVTV Merriborn Trilogy, coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. This is episode 2 in the trilogy with Trevor Merriden. Hello again, Trevor.
Hello.
Well, I'm thoroughly enjoying our 3 C's. We've done 1 C, now we're into number 2 of our 3 C's, and it's a double C, Trevor, double C of clever content. Now, I know this is a speciality area of yours, and I also know through our BVTV activity how important content is today. What do you mean, though, by clever content? And how does someone go about creating such material? And how does the creator know it's clever?
Right, it's a very good. There's a very good set of questions there, and I hope I can answer them. Clever content essentially is all about placing what you have to say, not within your frame of reference necessarily as you would express it, but expertly, intelligently, and directly in terms of the challenges facing your buyer. Or your prospect, or the member that you're trying to bring on board, and in a way, there's 2 aspects to this. One is original content, what most people think of as content. That's the writing, the video, podcasting, so creative skills to actually produce high quality content. But also, it's about looking at the world outside, which some might call curating content, where you bring in disparate sort of sources of thinking into a kind of compelling, coherent narrative, if you like, that will benefit your business. So you look at the world outside as well as the world, in your business, and what that does is it sort of helps to shape your content marketing to make a big impact. Whether you're trying to sell things or just get members on board, or whatever you're trying to do. It's all about having that mix of making what you do very clear internally and making it relate to the world outside. That's what I mean by clever content.
Yeah. So what do you mean? What do you think is not clever content?
I think content that really becomes very focused on the intricacies of a product, where you're talking in great detail. Now, obviously, that's relevant for some things, like if you are selling something very specific where people want to know exactly how long it is, and like a wardrobe, will it fit in the bedroom and things like that, then obviously you need that certain amount of detail. In the area that I inhabit, which is sort of a lot of business to business sort of work, where we're sort of working with a lot of people-based consultancies, a lot of the things that they're selling are services and ideas and consultancy. And in those sorts of situations, the big mistake that people make is by talking about the kind of intricacies of their sort of particular their service or their intellectual property, which they may talk about at a secondary stage. But to start with, they should actually say as little as possible in their content, but just show that they understand the market in which they're operating. So think about the issues facing your buyers first. And the big mistake that people make is that they talk about themselves and their product too early in the conversation.
Yeah. I've had to sit through boring PowerPoints where they're telling us for the first half hour how wonderful they are,
Yes.
And
yes.
it just does not resonate, and you've lost all will to live, haven't you? Before you've got into the meat.
You've got to. It's like whether you're a stand-up comedian, sort of taking the temperature of the room, about what jokes will and won't work, or whether you are presenting in a boardroom, you have to have some sort of connection or resonance with the audience, and it's exactly the same when you're producing clever content.
Yeah. Well, I told you before we got started today that I'm off to see James Bond film today.
Yes.
Now, I always remember about the James Bond, what they draw you in very quickly. There's like a different scene somewhere, isn't it? And then suddenly you're into it. You're not having to watch the story build up and, have eaten all your popcorn before it's time for the film. They bring you in. Is that clever content, bringing somebody in quicker?
Well, I mean, I think the Bond the Bond series is very clever. That the people immediately understand what they're saying, and you might see that, in the case of a movie, by the build-up of sort of tense music in the background, for example. Even if nothing bad is happening visually in front of you, you get a sort of mood music, and something is about to happen. The baddie's about to sort of jump out of the wardrobe or something. And so in clever content, I think actually shows you that, and there are certain nuances involved that actually, that although you're talking about a particular issue, that the buyer can be clearly seen to be, know that they're being led in a certain way in terms of understanding the issues. There's got to be that sort of clarity of purpose. You can see the path unfolding in front of you. Yeah. And if it makes sense to them, then they're happy to keep walking along that path.
So is that the same as I'll be feeling this afternoon, that that I'm Bond? I'll be the act in it. If when the buyer's reading it something, do they see that it's for them? Is that
it's Bond is a long movie, so it's got a difficult job in that sense. But the great thing about Bond is that it's so well scripted and so well thought out. You're happy to be led along, and in the same way, content and thought leadership, you're being led somewhere, but actually it's interesting and intriguing, and you want to know more.
Excellent. Thanks, Trevor. Now, let me remind our audience of your URL, your website address, which is on viewers. Obviously, you can see on the screen behind me here. But for listeners, let me spell it out. It's all the W's, Merriborn Media. Now, that's MERRI, MERRIBORN, merribornmedia.co.uk. Go there and find out more about Trevor and request a free download of his excellent, The New Thought Leadership Revolution. It's a lovely white paper that will make you think. By 2025, it's estimated that 463 exabytes of data will be created each day globally. Now, that's the equivalent of 212,765,957 DVDs per day. Not all of that can be useful or value. I trust you felt like me that Trevor Merriden's approach to clever content can make yours of true value. Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.